You are listening to the Taps and Teas Show, weekly conversations for people passionate about marketing, golf, and craft beer. Marty is the co-founder of Bad Rhino, an award-winning digital marketing agency helping golf and craft beer brands get real results in social media marketing. Here is your host, Marty McDonald.
All right, everybody, welcome to one of the new series of Taps and Teas. And in this series, what I'm going to be doing is interviewing some friends, some other marketing colleagues. It's a little bit different than what you're used to hearing. It will be craft beer and golf related at some point. But right now, we're going to do this series because I have a lot of good people out there that I know that I'd like to talk with, hang out with, do business with. And that's what this is all about. So one of my first guests in this series is a good friend of mine. I've known him for, it feels like 100 years, just because when you hang out with him, sometimes he drags things out of you and you keep talking, having cigars, eating wings, drinking beer, and it's always a good time. But my good friend Gene is on here, and Gene is the lead digital architect at GVI Media, right? That's what his title is these days. He's the founder of GVI. He's a speaker and he's a national marketing expert. He used to own a company called Your Real Estate Concierge, where he has a ton of background in real estate, over 10 years experience in marketing. He's extremely well versed in every facet of real estate, including buying, selling, renting, marketing, and consulting on over 200 and some odd real estate transactions, some in his own company, some helping others, all part of just helping other people out. He's big expert in terms of helping funding, designing some of the best video marketing platforms for real estate. His company provides cutting-edge technical marketing advantage for many business in addition to real estate. He's very much an expert on brand establishment and the subconscious marketing, which is always interesting to any of us in marketing. And he keeps it real. And I think that's the best part. So without hesitation, my good friend, Gene Volpe. How you doing, Gene?
Good, Marty. Thanks for having me, buddy. It's one of those things where anytime I get on one of these with a friend, I'm always worried about the intro, because you and I go back long enough to know how to rib each other. And that, you know what I mean? Like, I'm always expecting the worst. And when I get something like that, I'm always like, wow, that sounds pretty good. I like it. So thank you for that warm intro.
No problem, man. So tell us a little bit about what you do right now, and take out any other circumstances that are going on in the world while we're recording this, just in a normal time. What are you doing?
So when you talk at the front about the lead digital architect, I came up with the digital architect term years ago because this is what I do. I feel like I work backwards with a client from a marketing perspective. So I sit down with my people and I say to them, let's start with your perfect client. Let's talk about where they spend a lot of their viewing time. And then let's talk about your presence. So we kind of back into targeting folks via the platform that makes the most sense for the type of people they're trying to get into their shop, into their office, into their restaurant, whatever it might be. So that's kind of what I do. So anything digital and online, Facebook marketing, ads, Google, pay-per-click, website design, a lot of stuff that, not that I'm a competitor of Bad Rhino, but stuff that Bad Rhino does.
I mean, I think there's always room for a lot of people because we speak to different people than you do. And, I think the biggest thing and why I have, this series of marketers on here is putting out good people that I know who are actually doing what they do. I think that's super important right now. So give me a little bit more background. I know I ran through your intro, but give us the Gene Volpe, 30-second overview of how you got to where you were today. You can take a minute too, if you want.
Oh, I appreciate that. This is okay. So it all started in 1975. I think the real simple story is I worked for a company that you may have heard of. I don't know if you've heard of them. They're kind of small, Verizon. And what I did IT for them. So what we used to say is it was WAN LAN, which is wide area, local area networking. It's geek speak for handling companies' networks throughout the world. And I managed a team of guys and girls who were the best in the world. These were the doctors of the IT world, just guys and girls that would blow your mind with the stuff they knew, just crazy people. And part of what I think I did well was I helped communicate and translate what they were doing to what the client needed to understand. I left there in 2009. I actually retired at the age of 31, if my math is correct, somewhere in that range. And I left to get into real estate investing, consulting, which is actually where we met. And that kind of morphed into a bunch of different business lines, one of which was in '09. I started a video marketing platform for real estate agents. Fast forward into it, and you know this well, when the market started to really see the benefit of advertising dollars going online and not through print. And I realized that in the real estate field, there were a lot of people that didn't know how to turn on their computers, let alone create a brand and a presence on Facebook and then get into the advertising space. So I thought, with my background and my ability to translate these things, this is a really good opportunity for me to start a business for real estate. That's why when you mentioned in the beginning, you're real estate concierge. That's how it started. I wanted to be, if you were in real estate and you needed help marketing, who do you call the concierge? That was the idea. And that morphed into GVI Media, which is your real estate concierge for everyone in the world.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. And, things morph and change. I mean, you and I have spoken about that in the past, but, right now, what drives you to do that, day in and day out? And then let's, start that. Like, what was that moment that you got out of real estate exactly, so to speak, and just started the marketing avenue? And then what keeps you going?
Well, so just to keep that part of it simple, I think there was never a time where I got out of real estate and into the marketing. They sort of ran in parallel of each other. And then market changes back in the late 2000, 9, 10, 11, 12, forced me to do some things in the real estate sector that pushed me closer to the marketing end of it. The reason why I do it every day is it's actually really simple for me. And I think you would totally agree with this. Like people used to say to me all the time, well, you left Verizon because you didn't like your job anymore. Nope.
Sure.
You left Verizon because you didn't get paid enough. Nope. I left Verizon because I loved working there. And the reason why I loved working there was because there was never two technical problems that were the same. So every single day I went into work, it wasn't Groundhog's Day. It was the exact opposite. So if you didn't like change and fluctuation and stress, you didn't like my job. I loved it. And I think from a marketing perspective, and you know this, everything changes so quickly. Like TikTok was not a blip on the radar 6 months ago.
I thought you were going to lead with the stress part.
No. I could, right? I could. But if you listen to me on some of the other things I've done, I certainly don't focus and dwell on the negative of it, right?
No. Neither do I. But it's just funny because most of the time when you talk to anybody that's running an agency and then you flip it, is most people, and then not everybody, I'm not trying to lump this in there, the quote unquote most people, but they're like, oh, well, you just do marketing, so that can't be too stressful. And it's just like, well, where do you think sales comes from? Where do you think the branding comes from? Where do you think people come to buy your product? And then ultimately, you're on the clock to provide a result. So most of the time we always joke about it, and especially in many of my agency masterminds, it'll be fun. Own an agency, do work in marketing. It'll be a good time. And we quickly realize that, yeah, there's some flash to it, as you know, but then there's also the other side of it, which is you got to produce results. And that's why I'm bringing on good people onto this podcast.
I couldn't agree with you more. I think it's one of those things. It's like the grass is always greener, oh, your life hasn't changed during any of this. If we, well, how do you know that? I show you what I want to show you on social media, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes. There's a lot of stress to it. When you're handling other people's money, you have to produce. I mean, these are businesses that we're dealing with that need to get returns on their investment. And when that doesn't happen, that's a stressful thing.
Absolutely. So what do you dislike about marketing, in the industry overall? And it doesn't have to be real estate related, but what do you dislike?
I think I dislike the fact that I shouldn't say it this way. I got to be careful how I generalize, right?
Sure. No,
I think a lot of clients feel that marketing is discretionary, or
yes,
it's a want, not a need. And so, I feel like it's like insurance. Like if and I've always heard this from agents, and maybe it's part of their woe is me scenario. But, when times get tough and people have to pull their purse strings back, let's just say I was in a space where I had to decide whether I was going to pay for my mortgage or my car insurance. The insurance is usually one of the first things to go, right? Like people are like, I'll take the risk on that, because they can't come after me. It doesn't go against my credit. Like I'm just going to stop paying insurance. And I think marketing is that for businesses. It's like times are tough. I need to pull back. And it's like, where's the first spot? Obviously everybody always goes through their income and this $9 Apple iTunes. Do we really need that? No. This $600 marketing, maybe we shouldn't spend as much on PPC. Maybe we should drop that in half. And And here's what I hate about it. If it all comes full circle, I'm the guy saying to them, no, this is like, especially now, this is the time where you need to double down, because the people that get through this with the right attitude and the right strategy from a marketing perspective are going to be in such a better position when it's over. But the problem is that I'm the marketer. So that sounds like I'm selling you a bag of shit, right? Like, no, use my services. You gotta pay me more and do more, not less, because you're going to be better. And it's like, well, of course he feels that way, right?
Yeah, no, and that's a great point. You answered my second question. And since we're recording this here at the tail end of April 2020, might as well talk about it, right? A little bit. Yeah. You know, like, what's going on? What have you seen over the past 6 weeks with the whole coronavirus, et cetera, and the things that we're in?
I know I'm going to regret saying this, but I'm surprised at the amount of people who are holding steady. After what I just told you, I think a lot of my clients are like, and I've heard them say this straight out, which is, now this is the time where we need to be even more on social media, right? And I'm like, yes, that's wonderful. I love that, you know, because like right now, I mean, you know this, they said screen time has gone up 80%. Yeah. So that's an opportunity for guys like me and you to get more exposure for people that are spending the money, right? So that's what I'm seeing is, I think there's two types of people in what we're in right now. One is the 95 percenters that are sitting in the corner sucking their thumb, and they're saying, woe is me, everything has to stop. And I'm not judging, by the way, because I don't know your situation for sure. So I get that. But I also think that the 5 or 10% of the people that are sitting around are licking their chops because they realize that there's going to be an opportunity at the end of this across the globe. Cryptocurrency, stock markets, marketing, business. I mean, it might take a little bit of time, right? Like it could take 18 months before people will go back to restaurants. But if you think these big chains aren't going to flourish when this happens, I'm dying to go to a restaurant. Like it's going to happen. And if you're at the forefront of that, you're doing the right things, and people know you're there and what you're offering, it's going to be a good deal for you.
Hey, if you're enjoying what you're hearing on the show and want more, head on over to tapsandtees.info and get our free report with game-changing tips and strategies straight to your inbox. Just enter your info and stop being stuck with no marketing plan.
Absolutely. And, you know, we've seen the same thing. And it was funny at first. Everyone was like, let's take a pause. Let's take a deep breath. They paused some of their campaigns. We redid some of their campaigns. And then many of our clients, both large and small, they doubled down. And that is a testament to what you said, because you don't think you need insurance until you need it.
Yep.
And it's a good analogy about marketing. And you don't necessarily have to continue the same way. You can keep those lights going, because just what you said, this is not going to last forever. And certain things are going to open up faster than others. There's going to be some different things. But if you're not top of mind, somebody else is going to be. I see competitors of some of our clients chomping at the bit, spending more money, and we're letting them know that, you know, saying, hey, look, you know, company X that you always say is your main competitor, just a heads up, here's their new campaign and here's what they're doing. So it's either you want to stay in it or you don't want to stay in it. And we've seen some tremendous success in the past 6 weeks in e-commerce and the screen time. Like you said, there's a lot of opportunity just getting through the unknown.
So can I add? Yeah. Do I have time to add to that? Because I want to.
Absolutely.
So I think that I don't think I know. There's been some amazing creativity and amazing goodwill that's come out of what we're talking about. I'm shocked by two things. One is I'm shocked by how much people are affected by this mentally. I know for a fact that there are people that are struggling like I can't even fathom. And I totally get that. And I offer my time to them all day. And that's what we'll do. We'll close with, when you ask me what I'm pitching, I'm going to pitch spending time with me on a Zoom if you need help with just talking through stuff. The other side is I am also as surprised at how creative and good-hearted people are. And the reason why I brought that up is because the folks that are creative and that are leading in this time right now are going to be the ones that win at the end of this. And I wanted to give you an example. I read an article yesterday about this guy, and I'm not even going to try to say his name because I'll kill it. I'll destroy it. He's Armenian, and he runs a BYOB in Northern Liberties. It's called Apricot Stone. Okay. So if you look this up, did you see this?
No, I didn't see it, but I've heard of the place actually.
So if we do this, I should send you the link. And this guy is not a client of mine. I have no idea who he is, but he is still operating his restaurant. And what he's doing is he's taking orders via FaceTime. And he's treating it as if he was your waiter. He's actually setting up you call in and you get him face to face. He sends you the menu via email and a couple different points and specials of the day. You call him back in 15 minutes. He takes your order. And then 15 minutes after he gets notification that the order's been dropped off, you Zoom with him again, and he's got his table set up. So when you zoom in, you can see the wine glasses, and he's at the other end as if he was standing at your table. It's the dumbest thing in the world. I can't wait to go to that restaurant when this is over to talk to him about this because it's brilliant out-of-the-box marketing.
Yeah, no, that is awesome. And that's something that, if you send me the link to that, I'll put it in the show notes so everyone can check it out because, if you're in the craft beer industry and you have an awesome community, people miss you. If you have people that come in, I think that's huge. The same thing on the golf side of things. Mm-hmm. People miss you. I mean, they miss coming to your course. They miss coming into the tap room, and you can connect with people during this time. So that's a great idea, Gene. So let's move it into, the last part of this podcast. And what's the best place you ever traveled to?
I think so. I've been some really good places inside the U.S. Never really been outside the U.S. We've been to Jamaica. I've been to Hawaii and a ton of spots in the United States. But because you caught me off the cuff, I'm going to give you an off the cuff answer.
There you go.
Puerto Rico, and I'll tell you why. It's real simple. I think it was so. This is going to sound awful. It was so unexpected. Like the way it worked was, I think it was our 5th year anniversary, and my wife was like, "We're going away. I don't care. We're spending money, right?" And she's like, "All right, so I got this place at St. Thomas," and I'm like, "What does that look like?" She's like, $16,000. I'm like, "Nope, I'll buy a car." Like she was coming up with all these crazy excursions, and then 2 weeks later, after she was done being mad at me, she called me and she said, "I found our next place. We're going to Puerto Rico," and I'm like, "No, we're not." I'm not going to Puerto Rico, not for any reason. It's just never been anywhere on my list. Never. I could think of 30 places I'd rather go. And she goes, "It's a Ritz-Carlton, all inclusive, $4,400 with airfare." I'm like, "Okay, we're going to Puerto Rico."
Not bad,
dude. I tell you what, I'm a food like you. I'm a foodie. I'm a whiny. I'm a beery. Like food beer. 70% of my vacation is dictated by how good the food was, what kind of beer I got, and what kind of wine we were drinking. Right. And I'm talking about outside of my kids having a great time. I can't wait to go back. Like it was, and I know they've been through some hard times. So like, I want to get back there sooner rather than later. I just can't tell you how much fun we had. The people were amazing. The food was incredible. The beers and the drinks were great. We stayed at the Ritz down there. It was a beautiful place. The rain was fun. Like we went through a rainforest. Like it was crazy. And I just really, really, really enjoyed the culture and everything there.
Awesome. Yeah, no, I've never been to Puerto Rico, but I'm a big fan of Ritz-Carlton. That's for sure.
Yeah,
all their properties I've ever stayed at have been awesome.
Yeah.
All right, so we already know this. You already drink beer.
Yeah.
And I know you are pretty big in craft beer and you know your stuff, which is always fun to talk to. So first off, let's just go favorite beer of all time.
Of all time. I had this conversation. I had this conversation yesterday. And I think, are you okay if I give you one or two? Give two?
Yeah,
is okay?
I'll let you give me two.
All right, I appreciate that because here's the thing: they're so different. It sort of depends on the mood I'm in. One's a sour, and the other one is like not a sour. I don't know, and I'm sure you've had these, but there's one called Rodenbach Grand Cru.
Oh yeah,
which is to me just amazing. If you don't like sours, you won't like it, but if you do like sours like I do, they're incredible.
But it's funny is that's one of them where I never really like sours. No one should really drink a ton of sours anyway. Right. But the one thing I never liked them, I started just trying to taste more of them. And that was one that I was like, ooh, okay, now I could drink, some of this. That's a good one.
It's like a bottle of wine, drink, you get a 24 ouncer, you have it, you drink it. It's for a special occasion, maybe with a cigar or something like that. I love it.
Exactly. Yeah.
The second one is Saison DuPont, which is, I'm not telling any secrets. That's what consistently rated one of the top 5 beers in the world. So, but they're two of my go-tos where if I'm if you're a whiskey drinker and you go to get that $200 bottle of whiskey for special occasions, that's like my two go-tos. If I close a big deal or it's just something's going on, right? My wife just had a baby 15 years ago. Maybe I celebrated with that, but that's like my go-to.
Gotcha. Yeah. So, all right. Well, then let's drill it down just because we live in the same area. What's your favorite local beer or a couple of them?
I'll tell you. So there's a couple. I like Locust Lane. I really enjoyed that. And part of why I like Locust Lane is because of the first experience we had at the brewery. My wife and I were just driving around one day on a Saturday. It was like noon. We were getting ready to go to a party. We popped in. There was nobody there yet because they had just opened. We got a tour. They gave us the whole. I mean, it was just a lot of fun, and the beer's really good. Again, if you're local, I don't think I'm telling you any secrets. I like Victory. Don't get me wrong, but I would head over to Levante. Mm-hmm. Big fan of the Cloudy and Cumbersome and the Tickle Parts. La Cabra is pretty good too. I like La Cabra. Yeah. Shout out to those guys out there on the main line. Those guys, I think, again, part of it is the experience. Those guys are great dudes. They give back to the community. It's just nice to be there.
It's hilarious. First off, Locust Lane, good dudes. I've met those guys, at least a couple of them before. I don't know how many people own that or run that. I've actually never been there. I've had their beer though. I've never been there. And then La Cabra I went to for the first time this past December. It was either December or January. I think it was December. And that was great. I mean, the food was good, and the little place there in Malvern, it just, everything was there. I mean, it was just a perfect little experience. So those are two good ones. And Levante is Levante. I mean, they've got a great community. They've got, a strong presence in Westchester, Pennsylvania. And I know they're expanding and they're doing different things, but they have a good community, and a lot of people, go there and flock there. And Victory's been around. They've been around.
Yeah,
right.
You can't mess with Victory. Victory's pretty good. Yeah.
So, all right. So, when was the last time you played golf? I know you play, but not regularly.
No, it's been way too long. If I'm being honest, I couldn't even tell you the last time I played. It's got to be going on 3 years.
Yeah, well, that's way too long.
Sure it is.
So, what do you like about it, and what don't you like about it? Playing golf.
Here's the easiest answer to that is what I like about it is that I'm terrible. And so and here's why I like that. Okay. I always say that golf is one of those things where the better you get, the more stressful it is. So I what that is. It's like you shot at 78, but you could have shot a 77. And I'm like, really? Right. Like, I just feel like I'm getting my money's worth out of the course. If it's $120 to play on Glen Mills and I shoot 120, that's $1 a stroke. It's not bad.
It's not bad.
So,
no, it's not bad at all.
So I like the fact that it's relaxing. It's slow paced. I mentioned this up front. I'm a cigar smoker. So I really enjoy getting out in the open on a nice, 75-degree day. It's not too hot. I got my big old bucket hat on, and I'm smoking an Ashton VSG. That to me is fun.
Yeah, I know. That's always a good aspect to it. What is your favorite golf moment personally on the course? And then what's just your favorite golf memory if you have one?
They both are the same thing, and you're going to giggle at me, right? So when I was about 19 years old, I wish I could show it to you because it's so much more visual than it is a story. But we went out for a company outing for the insurance company that I worked for, and I was known as the I shouldn't say it this way because people might say I was the crazy one, right? Like I was 19, we were in the middle of a party, and I lived on my own. Like
I will not let some of the stories out that you've told me previously out on this podcast, but for everybody
I appreciate that.
I can totally picture what you're talking about. Go ahead.
And this is clean. There's nothing, you don't have to worry about it.
Oh yeah. No, I'm not worried about it. It could be dirty. It's fine, but go ahead.
So we get out on the golf course, and I am part of a foursome that was one of the first to tee off. And now I'm dressed like I know how to play the game. I got my knickers on. I got a great new pair of spikes. Like and I forget whose clubs I used at the time, if I had my own or if I borrowed some, but whatever the case was, I snuck an aluminum baseball bat into the bag. And as we're teeing off, I'm the fourth one to tee off. And the vice presidents are all standing behind us of the company, and they know who I am, but they don't know anything about me. I'm just a lowly guy in the IT room that's, changes tapes and helps them print and staple insurance booklets. So it was like, whatever. And plus at the time, I think I was working a 4 to midnight shift. So I didn't cause too much trouble while I was there. But I pull out the driver and I go up and take a couple practice swings, and I give the old I don't know if that's going to work or not. I go back to the bag and I pull out this aluminum bat, and I can see everybody like, what the hell is he doing? I get up to the tee, I pick up the ball and I throw it up, and you hear this bink. And I hit that sucker from the tee box. And I think the best part about it was I didn't even look back. I dropped the thing back in the bag, jumped in the cart, and we drove off. And they had to be like, first of all, there was probably two sides. One is like, this dude's out of his mind. And there's probably the other contingent was like, you would have been like, how dare you disrespect this game?
I would have laughed. It's so funny you tell that story. We played it was a baseball fundraiser. They had, I can't remember. It was like a minor quote unquote local celebrity to that course. This was out in middle of nowhere in PA, out by State College, I think, if I remember correctly. And I got roped into this tournament, and on like the 15th hole or something, a par 5, you know, I usually have like the pro hit. Well, let this minor league baseball player hit it with a baseball bat. And I can already hear the sound that you're describing. But then also, too, you hit a baseball. If you can actually swing a bat and hit a baseball, and you use a golf ball, that sucker's going to fly.
Oh, I'm sure he crushed it.
Oh, dude, he crushed it. I can't remember how far. I just remember it was like a short pitch up to the green. And it was like a serious par 5. Might have been around 400, like almost 500 yards. Maybe we had like 30 yards left. I mean, this dude crushed this thing. And I couldn't believe, like, not to get off the beaten path, but like if they had like a waiver for that, because, you know, hitting a baseball is one thing. Hitting a golf ball with a bat, that thing could go anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's crazy. And I'm sure being a minor league baseball player, you probably hit it a lot further than I did. And straighter. I don't even know where the ball went, probably.
But number one, I could totally see 19-year-old Gene doing that. I could even see Gene doing it today, but
that's totally a true story, actually. I would. You're right.
All right, Gene, where can people find you online? You know, give us all your info here.
Listen, if you know how to spell my name, you can find me. It's Gene, and last name is Volpe. So I'm at Gene Volpe, everything except Instagram. I'm the Gene Volpe. So GeneVolpe.com, GeneVolpe@gmail.com, info@GeneVolpe.com. I mean, if you go to GeneVolpe.com, there's a little scheduling widget that pops up. If you want to get inside my space, just go there, fill that thing out. I'll get the message, and we'll chat.
Awesome. Thanks, Gene. I really appreciate you coming on. And like I said, everybody, you know, we're bringing some people on over the next few episodes that are going to be marketing related. They'll always have a craft beer / golf twist. But I think it's important to know really good people out there so that you can take a look at their content, get different ideas for your marketing. Because not, you know, all the time, not everybody, one person has your solution. You always want to research and make sure people that you look to hire know what they're doing, and Gene is one of them. So thanks, Gene. I appreciate it.
Marty, thanks, buddy. Stay safe.
Will do, buddy.
This is thepodcastfactory.com.